Good afternoon, everyone. We're here in Chicago. This is the On the Water Anarchy Report from the Chicago Mackinac race. And all this good stuff is sponsored by ChicagoMackinac.com and Torresen Marine. That's T-O-R-R-E-S-E-N. And they're the sailboat specialists, www.sailboatspecialist.com. With that out of the way, we've got one of our good friends here, Matt Scharl. Matt is something of a multi-hull freakazoid. And has done a lot of really interesting things in the multi-hull world. Usually centered around Chicago, but quite a bit of stuff outside the state. He recently was helping to coach Stars and Stripes for this race, which famously lost her rig and isn't going to be on the line. And Matt sailed on the other big multi-hull in the Port Huron to Mackinac race, Earth Voyager, a 60-foot open tri that we'll take a look at shortly. Getting a new race record and winning first over the line. We're here on Matt's own boat, which is a Corsair F-25, or I'm sorry, Farrier F-25c. And Matt's going to show us a little bit about his boat, and hopefully when we get some reports from him from the water, we'll put this interview up and you guys can learn what he's sailing. Matt's done really well with this boat. He just recently sailed the solo Mackinac race and won it. He's won this race a few times. He's won the Port Huron race. Holds quite a few nice trophies from the Great Lakes and outside. But you can see Gamera's got a brand new shiny green paint job. And Matt, how you doing, bro?
Very good.
Tell us about the boat.
F-25c, carbon fiber, weighs race ready at 1,700 pounds, 27 feet long, 19 feet wide, and it flies. Top speed, we've hit 20. Well, I hit 26 knots by myself. Average 19 for 6 or 7 hours at a time. It's hair on fire. It's just, you cannot take your hands off anything with those speeds.
How much sail area do you have?
The main is 295. The jib's only 92. So it's a pretty small sail area, but you don't need it with the weight.
And the advantage to this boat compared to some of the bigger, potentially faster multis is?
It'll get up and plane a lot faster. Like the 31s are pretty, you can push them pretty hard and they're not tender at all. This boat, you pretty much want a main sheet in your hand anytime the race is over 12, but it's worth it.
Well, we raced against you last year in nice pair and saw you have a bit of a hairball moment at the beginning of the Mackinac race last year. It was blowing from the direction it is now. It was blowing out of the northeast at about 20 knots. Tell us what happened.
We started with a reefed main and just the screecher with the idea of possibly pulling up the jib. And I was sitting on the high side with my hand under the hiking strap, or my feet under the hiking straps, and my one guy on the winch and the one guy already back in the stern, which is the guy sitting over there with a big cut on his foot from that race. And just the boat rolled down a wave, and at the same time we were pointing down the wave, we got hit with a puff, and it just went from 17 to 0. Stabbed it. He flew from there up into the cockpit. The other guy hit his mouth on the winch when it stopped. I was able to stay up because of the hiking straps and just rode it out. When I could see the top, when I could see the horizon over the top of the mast, that's when I knew it was over. But it stopped and it actually backed up out of the water, slapped down, shook it all off, looked at each other, went, "Let's trim, let's go." And we bore off a lot more at the time. So yeah.
We did see, when you got to the island last year, you did have a little damage. That hairy moment, what happened to the boat?
Actually, I thought that the mast step, because the rig was canted about 6 degrees at the time, that I thought the step had slid a little bit on the flat plate. Turns out it wasn't. No damage at all to the boat, except for a really big gash in his foot from underneath the tiller.
Wow.
But yeah, no damage, no nothing.
So since that time, have you done anything to the boat besides paint it?
Simplified it. I've gotten rid of a few. I no longer cant the rig. I don't think it's worthwhile for a lot of the buoy racing I do, and I didn't want to take the penalty anymore. Changed a little bit on the bowsprit to simplify it. And it sails like a little dinghy now.
Does the bowsprit cant?
Nope.
No.
Nope. It's completely solid.
So just give us a little quick tour, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice non-skid too.
Yeah, everything real clean. Everything's clear-coated carbon down below, so you can totally see exactly what it looks like down there.
Very pretty stuff. Super simple, huh?
Yeah.
So what's your sail inventory?
Just a main, one jib, one screecher, and the storm jib that's required, and one spinnaker.
They don't require you to have a tri-sail or anything like that?
No. No.
Just a deep reef?
Yep.
You've got 3 reefs then?
2 reefs, one's 50%.
Oh wow.
And I start to reef at 18 knots.
And the mast rotates too, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's just on this little ball and socket.
Yeah. All the way over that way. All the way that way.
So any tricks that you have in store for this year's Mac? What do you think it's going to do?
I think it's going to be a real tactical race. There's not a lot. There's very little structure to the atmosphere, so it could literally come up from anywhere, go anywhere. I know it'll be northeast on Monday, and maybe a little southeast at the start, but in between, there's just nothing in the atmosphere to follow. It's not straightforward like last week. It's going to be a what you see when you get there type race.
So maybe go to shore and work for thermals, or
if there's clouds, it's going to be warm. So I can see a lot of boats are going to go to shore.
All right, so here's the question. Last year you beat us by going outside the Manitous. This year, inside or outside?
It's a game day decision.
All right, brother. Well, good luck out there, and we'll hope to hear from you checking in from the course, and we'll tell the world what's going on.
Cool.
All right.